At midnight, the bell under the river rang once. No church stood nearby, no hand pulled a rope. The water carried the sound anyway, and everyone in town knew what it meant. When I was a child, my grandmother told me stories of the Blackwater River. She said the water kept names, that under the bridge, chained to the old stone pier, hung a bell that tolled for the living. It did not ring for the dead. It did not ring for storms. It rang for the one who would be taken next. Children in town laughed at the idea. We dared each other to run across the bridge after dark, spitting into the water, calling names out loud. But no one ever stopped when the bell rang. Adults avoided the subject. They crossed in silence. Truckers turned radios low after dusk. Fishermen refused to cast near the piers. Every family had its own way of guarding against it. My grandmother's was red thread. She tied it to my wrist each time I visited. She said the thread was a promise, that I belonged among the living. When the bell rings, she said, "You do not stop. You do not look down. Keep your name close." She told me about those who ignored the rule. A mill worker in the 1950s who leaned too far. A farmer's wife who heard her name at dawn and stepped barefoot onto the bridge. A schoolteacher walking home after grading papers. Each vanished. The water kept them. I grew older. I moved away. Years passed, and the stories felt like folklore. When my grandmother died, I returned. The first night back, I heard the bell. The sound came as I was halfway across the bridge with boxes in the back seat. A single toll. Low. Heavy. It vibrated in my bones like a deep breath held too long. I gripped the wheel. I tried to laugh it off. Say the bridge shifted. Say the wind moved steel. But the sound lingered in my ribs long after my tires touched the far side. My phone lit on the passenger seat. An unknown number. 4 words. Stop on the bridge. Another buzz. Another message. We need your name. At the house, my hands shook at the lock. In the kitchen, the window fogged, though nothing boiled. Letters formed in the condensation. My name. I didn't sleep. At 3:07 a.m., the same toll shook the rooms. Not from outside, but inside the house. The walls trembled. The glass hummed. The next day, I asked around. The sheriff said there was no bell. The librarian said it was older than the courthouse, that some say the bridge was built because of it. An old fisherman said, "If it calls you, don't answer. If you answer, don't cross. If you cross, don't stop." That night, curiosity won. I returned to the bridge. The river was still. Fog curled across the rails. I set a recorder on the dash, aimed a camera at the span, and waited. At midnight, the water went silent. The frogs and insects hushed at once. Then the bell rang. The sound split the night. My ribs ached, my teeth clenched. The recorder buzzed as if the tone was too low to catch. I stepped out. The mist thickened. Below, faint light shimmered. A circle of pale glow wrapped the pier. Inside it, the bell swayed as if it hung free. No chain, no rust, no moss. Just an iron bell swinging underwater, lit from within. Faces pressed against its rim, pale, distorted. Eyes wide, mouths open, dozens, hundreds. One turned toward me. My grandmother's. Her lips parted. My name poured out. Not from her mouth, but from the bell itself. Each toll spoke my name in her voice. I stumbled back, clutching the red thread from her funeral. I held it high. The mist recoiled. The bell cracked. A seam of light spread across its surface. Water boiled white. Faces shrieked without sound. The tolling grew frantic. The vibration forced air from my lungs. Words pressed at my throat. My own name, ready to spill. I bit my tongue until blood filled my mouth and screamed a different word. Nonsense. Gibberish. The bell paused. The water stilled. Faces writhed, furious. The crack deepened. A piece of iron broke free and sank. The bell stopped. At dawn, the river looked ordinary. Fishermen cast lines. Birds circled. My recorder held only static. The camera showed only fog. But the bell lay half buried against the pier, cracked wide. Divers came days later. They called it junk, scrap from an old mill. They chained it deeper so boats would not strike it. The town knew. Parents tied red thread on children's wrists again. The sheriff stopped denying it. The librarian stopped answering questions. 2 weeks later, at 3:07 a.m., I woke to still rooms and fogged windows. On the glass, letters formed one by one, my name. Then the sound came, not from outside, not from the bridge, from inside my chest, a bell tolling in my ribs. If you hear a bell where no church stands, do not give it your name. If the water whispers, do not answer. Some voices should stay under the river. Subscribe for more original horror stories.